What's up, guys? Average Kiwi Guy here. How y'all doing? So we are into the second to last week of Rebels. It's sad stuff. It's sad stuff. It's I'm sad to see the show go, especially how it's just steadily getting better and better. But I'm excited for what's happening next, and we have had some news about what might be happening next, so that's cool. Um, but this week, Wolves and a Door and a World Between Worlds. Very, very cool. Very interesting and very, like, just crazy stuff. And very mystical Force stuff, which I love. I love when the Force gets mystical. But a quick heads up right now. This review is for Wolves and the Door, and it will have spoilers, okay? So if you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Go watch these two episodes, then come on back. The reviews still will be sitting there, and you'll know what's going on. You'll know what's happening, and I don't want to ruin it. Like, these last few episodes of Rebels, I think are going to be special, so I don't want to ruin it for any of you, okay? So go check it out and then come on back. All right. So, Lothal is definitely like far more connected to the Force than we ever realized. And the fact that the Mortis, basically the Mortis 3, the father, son, and daughter. And if you don't know those, they are from the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars animated series. Not the good one. Not the Samurai Jack, animated one, but the sort of CGI sort of one that came out afterwards. It's like about 6 seasons or something like that. A lot of trash, but there are some very cool arcs that happen through the series. You just kind of have to pick your way through it. I won't say it's a must-watch. I'm sure you could go online and find out where the actual best episodes are in it. But this episode, Wolves and a Door, directly correlates to a 3-episode arc that happened through Clone Wars, which happens to do with these Force-wielding celestial beings. And with Anakin being the one, and a prophecy, and there's a father, son, and daughter, and they all represent, the daughter represents the light side, and the father represents the balance, and then the son represents the dark side. And it's meant to be like, that's where the balance of the Force is going to be. And it's, in a way, they tried to make it that the prophecy that Anakin was going to bring balance to the Force was that he was actually going to take over from the father and make sure that his daughter and son remain balanced and no one ever got one up on each other. But Anakin fucked that up too, so that all went out the door. So it was an interesting 3-part arc. Directly correlates with this Rebels episode. And the temple, it makes the temple on Lothal so much more fascinating. So much more fascinating. So, like pretty much the last episode left off of, they have a new plan now. The Loth Wolves, or the Alpha Loth Wolf, which we do find out is kind of being influenced by Kanan. I don't think it is Kanan. I think it's like his will or something's acting through the Loth Wolves in a way. I know you guys put in a lot of like things, like there's an interview and stuff about what's happening and stuff. I do like what they kind of did with Kanan and how he wasn't like, he didn't come back as a Force ghost. It was like his will was still there. And then once these 2 episodes finished, that's kind of like, and once these 2 episodes are finished, it's like he moves on, which was kind of cool. But they know that the Jedi Temple is in trouble, that the Empire is doing something to it, and they need to get there. And they jump on the wolves. They do a crazy, like, sinking into the ground, and then it's like hyperspace jump, warp speed, travel through the Force. I'm assuming to get to the Northern Hemisphere and they sort of warp speed to the Northern Hemisphere to get to the temple, because it's right up north. So it's crazy what those Loth Wolves can do, and we kind of figure out why they're connected to it so much, and why they're connected to the Force and all that, which was really cool, very, very cool. after we sort of get this sort of hyperspace sort of little scene where they had some flashbacks from different seasons, we get to the temple and we see what's happening, and it's a full-on Imperial research division that's there, which is very cool. I like that. I like how it's not a military occupation; it's a research. This is like the Emperor had his little projects around things, and what fascinated him, and the power that this pertains, and this like temple, like what it represents and all that. It's not just this training temple. It's a full-on like it's hiding a massive, very, very valuable, very powerful in the Force, and he's all about that stuff, all about it. And he sent this minister to go in there, and I was like, when I looked at him, I thought it was like I think it's Tashu from Aftermath. Who like this? He's this sort of minister that sort of idolizes the Emperor and believes wholeheartedly in the dark side and that. But it was just Minister Hyden, who I think is just the guy that sort of runs these research projects that the Emperor has, and he's able to directly communicate to the Emperor. So that's how sort of close knit this sort of research group is, and flanked by Death Troopers. I love that. I love how they've made Death Troopers like these high-ranking security sort of guys. I love that. Kind of like the commanders of the Stormtroopers when they're out in the field, which I like. But obviously they're going to disappear at some point because we don't really see them in the originals. But that was super cool. And what we find out is that this temple is far beyond what we ever thought it was. And there's a giant thing on the door. When they light it all up because they want to get in there, and like Ezra and Sabine sneak in there. They like, jump some stormtrooper patrols and sneak in there. They go in, they look around, they see things, and then suddenly they light it all up because they're gonna they're gonna try and drill into the temple door. And it's a giant mural. It's a giant mural on this door. And it's of the father, daughter, and son of Mortis, of the Clone Wars episodes, of these celestial beings that had immense amount of force power, which literally are on this planet that's essentially flowing through the Force. It's directly connected into the Force. And like down below, there's like Loth wolves all looking up at them. Then there's an owl sitting on the daughter's shoulder, which is the owl that used to follow Ahsoka around from season 2, which I didn't even think about that. Which kind of tells you how long they were thinking about putting this stuff in. Like, if that owl was there and how it correlates to Ahsoka in the past, I don't know if they just like, oh wait, we'll use the owl or what, but I like how it's all linked together now. And they basically got to figure out how to open the door and how to do all this stuff, and that this mural is not just a painting. It's something very, very different. So they have to figure out how to open this door and what it all means. And they see the mural, and it's got different pathways everywhere, and they're like, is a kind of like a transportation system, like transport through the Force like the Loth wolves do. Like the Loth wolves seems to be able to go large distances very fast, presumably through the Force. And that's what I love. That's what I love about how where they're taking the Force in this sort of mystical, crazy, it's not all about Force pushes and lightning and all that stuff. It's going into, grand, mystical, natural phenomenon, like, because it's an energy. And I love that. I love it. And we'll get more into that when we get into the next video for Worlds Apart. A World Between Worlds, sorry. Because it gets crazy there. So yeah, they're looking up, and they got to try and figure out how to open this door. And Sabine, basically these stormtroopers come up, and Sabine has to sort of talk her way out of these stormtroopers while Ezra tries to figure it out. And Sabine, I think she references a military protocol, which is not right because they're on a research thing, so she gets all taken away. And Ezra figures out that the tablet that the Lothwolves gave him tells him how to open the door, and how each one, like the hands, are what decide how to open the door. So I think he goes up and touches the daughter's hands, and it's something that Kanan told him, that you have to listen to the story, or the I wasn't sure if it was Kanan or it was the Alpha Wolf sort of been talked through with Kanan. I don't know. Said listen to the stories of the stone, I think they said. So he puts his hand up on where the daughter's hand is, and I'm assuming he listens through the force, and that activates the door. It activates the mural, and it all starts moving. And the daughter starts moving, the father starts moving, the Lothwolves will start running off. It's very cool. It's very cool. I loved what they did with the mural. I loved how it all moved and had this very, it's force mystical stuff. Like, how do you have a door that is moving like that? I love it. I love it a lot. And sort of Ezra has to follow along, and this minister, when the troopers bring Sabine up to him, he instantly realizes that you're not a trooper, you're someone. Well, I don't know if he knows it's Sabine, but she knows that they're intruders. So the base goes on alert, and that kind of forces Ezra to follow these wolves, who then create a portal, and he has to jump through the portal, and it's crazy stuff. Like, the big thing is that they want to connect Rebels and the Clone Wars stuff, and then in the next one they have sound bites from all of the movies, all of them. They have, like, from the prequels, Rogue One, originals, and then the new era stuff. It was very, very cool. And I have to say too that the music in these two episodes, phenomenal. I love the music in them. Very grand, very mystical, very just, yeah. It was awesome to see. Hera and Zeb kind of taking a backseat on this one because it's not really their thing. Again, Sabine is like this all-knowing, like, very smart character who seems to know everything about everything. But I'm guessing they're like, well, she knows art. She knows how to interpret things visually, so she's probably the best one to deal with this stuff. And they kind of have to... Hera has to sort of learn to let the two of them go and do what they need to do. Because they're kind of there for Kanan. They're there because this is what they felt like is Kanan's last mission for them. And they have to do it. So, and they have this nice scene where Kanan kind of puts a hand on her shoulder. And I don't think that was a Force ghost. I think it was just like in her head, like it was like his impression was there. Not a Force ghost. I don't think that was an actual Force ghost, but they kind of made it to look like it was. But yeah, they are making a big effort to connect Rebels with everything. Like, they've already done that. I don't know why they felt the need that they had to, but it's taken what you would imagine was just going to be a build up to the big finale, which is the big confrontation with Thrawn, and the basically presumably will be the end of the TIE Defenders, and we'll find out where Thrawn ends up, where Ezra ends up, where the Ghost team that we don't know, the Spectre team that we don't, like Zeb and Sabine, we don't know where they end up. We know that Hera ends up with the Rebels, and we know that Chop ends up with the Rebels and the Ghost, but we don't know what happens to the rest. So I like how where they went with this. I like how they threw a bit of a curveball in there. They're like, we have to do something that's going to entice the Emperor to be interested in Lothal. By the way, the Emperor, voiced by Ian McDiarmid, who did Emperor, which is kind of cool. Like, I like how they bring the big name, voice back in. But I'm glad they got, Ian back in, added some cool things to it, and like I said, they had to make this temple so important that the Emperor gets, wants to become, actually be invested in it, and wants to probably come to Lothal for it. And I do think that the events of these next 2 episodes will bring him there, which will be awesome. I think that's going to be a very, very cool, a very, very cool finale, I think. But I mean, overall, I think, this episode was a nice build up to the next one. The next one's where everything kind of just comes to fruition. You see what this temple's really about, what it, this power that it has. Crazy Force stuff. Crazy Force stuff. Old characters come back. A lot of cool things. A lot of very cool things that I'm excited to get into in the next review, which will be up just after this one. So do go and check that out. But yeah, I think Rebels, they're going out with a big bang. They're going out with a big bang. And like I said, we did get some news about what might be the next project, like sort of animated TV series maybe for the to replace Rebels, which could be in the new era with the Resistance and things. So I'm happy about that. But yeah. So very cool episode. I love the connections they made. I love the mystical Force stuff. Like when Rebels does Force stuff, I felt like they do it well. And now that they're going that sort of like mystical side, I dig it. I dig when the Force goes that way. And it's not just like midichlorians, training temples, like the same old stuff. This is something different. And they took something that was unique from Clone Wars and mixed it in with Rebels, and I like it. And it just like they made Lothal a very important place, Jedi-wise and Force-wise, which is interesting. But yeah. Alright guys, that's it for us. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Bye.